I thought it would be a simple Friday dinner. Roast chicken, potatoes with rosemary, a quick hug from my son, Ethan, and a warm smile from his wife, Vanessa. I brought a small lemon pie and a bag of fresh herbs from my garden. The house smelled like butter and thyme. Music played softly from the living room. Everything felt safe. Ordinary. I let myself relax. "Can you grab the salt?" Vanessa asked, basting the chicken. She said it like I had always lived there. Like the pantry belonged to me, too. I smiled and nodded. Of course. I walked to the pantry and switched on the little light. It made a soft hum. The shelves were neat. Jars with labels I could read at a glance. Sugar. Flour. Rice. The salt was probably near the spices. I reached up, stood on my toes, and slid a tin to the side. That is when I saw it. A thick manila envelope, half hidden behind the flour canister. Someone had tried to push it back, but not far enough. A black marker had written big letters across the front. DNA, don't tell MOM. I stopped breathing. The words felt like a finger pressed into my chest. I told myself it was a joke. Maybe a silly game. Maybe a prank Ethan was planning for a friend. But the handwriting looked careful. Not silly. Not playful. Serious. "Everything okay, Laura?" Vanessa called from the kitchen. "Fine." I answered too quickly. "Just looking." My fingers moved before my thoughts caught up. I slid the envelope out and held it under the warm glow coming from the oven window. The kitchen light was bright, but the oven light felt private, like a small spotlight just for me. The paper inside shifted with a quiet whisper. I could hear my heart beat in my ears. I opened the flap. On top, there was a white cover sheet. 3 words printed clean, for the real father. The room tilted. I pressed my hand to the counter to steady myself. The next page had numbers, barcodes, and a lab logo. I scanned until the words made sense. Probability of paternity, 0%, Richard Bennett. Then another line. 99.999%, Dr. Alan Collins. Richard. My husband who died 5 years ago. The man who taught Ethan to tie a tie. The man who fixed the sink the night before Ethan's first day of school photo. 0%. I swallowed hard. My mouth tasted like metal. Dr. Collins. The fertility doctor from almost 30 years ago. The man who told us to keep hope. The man I thanked in a Christmas card for our miracle. I looked back at the first page. For the real father. The words were so clean, so cold. I imagined handing this paper to a stranger and saying, "Here. This is you." My hands started to shake. I heard footsteps. Ethan set down silverware on the table. Forks. Knives. His rhythm was the same as his father's. Slow. Gentle. For a moment I wanted to laugh at myself. Paper is paper. Ethan is Ethan. No test can measure the smell of a baby's hair at 3 a.m. No number can weigh the memory of a small hand grabbing your finger while crossing a street. But the next line on the report cut through that soft defense like a blade. Sample collected from Dr. Collins. Chain of custody confirmed. I slipped the pages back into the envelope. The letters "Don't tell MOM" stared at me like a warning sign. I slid the envelope behind the flour again and adjusted the canister, so it looked untouched. I found the salt. I placed it on the counter with a small clink. "Everything okay?" Ethan asked, looking up. His face was open and kind. He had Richard's quiet eyes. He also suddenly looked like a stranger I had never met. "I'm fine," I said, not trusting my voice. "I just remembered something I need to do." "Now?" Vanessa asked, gently surprised. "Just a quick errand. I'll be right back." I knew I was lying. I put on my coat. I picked up my purse. I kissed Vanessa's cheek. I squeezed Ethan's shoulder. My hand lingered there 1 second too long, like I was saying goodbye to something I couldn't name. Then I walked out. The air outside was cool. The sky was pink at the edges. I got into my car and closed the door. The quiet was huge. I stared at my own hands on the steering wheel. They looked steady, but inside I felt like a shelf had come loose and everything was sliding. I drove without thinking. Right at the stop sign. Left at the pharmacy. I parked behind the building where no one would see me cry. But I did not cry. Not yet. I sat very still and let the facts arrange themselves in a straight line. Ethan had taken a DNA test. He had compared it to Richard's old hairbrush, the one in my memory box. He, or someone, had gotten a sample from Dr. Collins. Maybe a coffee cup. Maybe a napkin. The test said Richard was not the biological father. It said Dr. Collins was. Ethan had written, "Don't tell MOM." He had also written for the real father. He had planned to show it to someone. Not to me. Not yet. I closed my eyes. I remembered the clinic waiting room. The pale blue chairs. The soft voice of the receptionist. The day Dr. Collins said, "The numbers are low, but we have options." I remembered hope, thick and sweet like syrup. I remembered choosing trust, because what else could we do? I remembered going home and telling Richard, "They can help us." He hugged me and said, "Then we keep going." A car passed on the street. Its headlights swept through the back window. For a heartbeat, I saw my own reflection in the rearview mirror. I looked older than I felt. But I also looked steady. I could feel something inside me lock into place. Not a hard lock. A safe lock. The kind that keeps the wrong people out and the right people in. My phone buzzed. Ethan. I let it ring. It buzzed again. Vanessa this time. I stared at the screen until it went dark. I pressed my palms to my eyes and breathed. I was not going to shout. I was not going to break plates or make a scene. I was not going to let a man in a white coat decide our story twice. I would come back when I was ready. I would ask for everything. Every detail. Every step. And we would decide together what to do with the truth. The oven light still burned in my mind, warm and small. I pictured the envelope sitting quietly behind the flour, like a little animal hiding in a cupboard. I pictured my son at the table, lining up the forks, waiting for a dinner that would never happen the way we planned. I turned the key, started the car, and drove home. On the way, I passed the cemetery where Richard was buried. I did not stop. I touched my wedding ring with my thumb and whispered to him anyway. "I'm here. I'm listening. I will protect our boy." At home, I set the lemon pie in the fridge and sat at the kitchen table. I thought about the note on the envelope. "Don't tell him." It hurt, but I understood it. Ethan wanted to be sure before breaking my heart. He thought a confirmed answer would make the pain cleaner. He thought waiting would protect me. He is a good son. That is who he is. I took out a notebook and wrote a list in neat lines. Chain of custody. Clinic records. Consent forms. Dates. Names. Half-siblings. Lawyer. Medical board. I drew a small box next to each item, the way I always do when I need order. I checked the first box, breathe. I made tea. I held the warm mug with both hands. I let the steam touch my face. The house was quiet and safe. I could still smell thyme on my sleeves from Vanessa's kitchen. I closed my eyes and saw the oven light again, the way it had turned a secret into a spotlight. When the tea was gone, I washed the cup and set it upside down to dry. I placed my notebook on the counter. I turned off my phone. I went to bed early. I did not sleep well, but I did not fall apart. Morning would come. I would go back. I would open the pantry again, not to find salt, but to bring the hidden thing into the open. I would listen to my son. I would tell him I loved him. Then we would decide what to do next. Morning comes slow and heavy. I make tea, read my list again, and drive back to Ethan's house. I text first, "I'm coming over. I want to talk." Vanessa replies in seconds, "We're here." Coffee is ready. When I step inside, the kitchen smells like yesterday's rosemary, but the air feels different. Vanessa hugs me. Ethan stands very straight, like a boy waiting for a grade. I touch his cheek. "We will talk," I say. No shouting. No hiding. We sit at the table. No music, no small talk. The envelope is already there. Vanessa has put it in a clear folder, so it looks like what it is, evidence, not gossip. My hands want to shake, but I lay them flat on the wood and breathe. Ethan starts. "Mom, last Christmas we did one of those family DNA kits. It was a joke gift. We wanted to find out if I had Irish roots or something fun." He tries to smile but can't. The results came back in January. I matched with people I didn't know. Not cousins, half-siblings. 3 at first. Then more. Vanessa takes out her phone and shows me a list of first names with tiny profile photos. "They are in our area and in nearby states," she says. A few are the same age as Ethan. Ethan keeps going. One of them is a teacher named Rosa. Another is an EMT named Victor. They both said their mothers saw a fertility specialist in the 90s. Same clinic. Same doctor. I do not say the name. I wait. "Dr. Collins," Ethan says quietly. "Our old doctor." The room tilts, but I stay in my chair. "How did you get his sample?" I ask in a steady voice. "The report says chain of custody confirmed." Ethan nods. He gave a public lecture at a medical conference 2 months ago. Afterward, there was coffee in the lobby. He threw away a paper cup. I brought new gloves, a clean bag, and a prepaid, accredited test kit that accepts discarded items with chain of custody tracking. I followed their rules exactly. I also used Dad's hairbrush from your memory box for comparison. I'm sorry I took it without asking. I put it back. I would have given it to you, I say. But I understand why you were careful. Vanessa adds, we didn't want to tell you maybe. We wanted to tell you something we could prove. I look at the envelope. I look at my son. His eyes are red but clear. Why write "Don't tell Mom"? I ask softly. Those words cut. Ethan winces. I wrote that because I was scared. I thought if you saw the envelope before we were ready, it would hurt worse. I planned to tell you on Sunday. I even bought a small cake that says "We love you, Mom." It's in the freezer. He swallows. I wanted love in the room when we told you the worst thing. Something in me breaks and then sets straight. I cover his hand with both of mine. Those words hurt, I say, but you are not my enemy. The man who lied to us is. We sit with that truth. It fills the quiet like honest air. Vanessa opens a notebook. We already spoke to a lawyer who works with families like this. There are others in the same case. The plan is simple. Gather documents, keep a record of contact, and let the lawyer approach the doctor and the clinic. No surprise visits. No confrontations. Good, I say. We act like adults. We do not give him a scene to hide behind. Ethan slides a folder to me. Inside, copies of the lab report, screenshots of half-sibling matches, dates from the genealogy site, a printout of a news article about similar cases in other states. Rosa and Victor agreed to talk with us on a video call tonight, he says. Only if you want to. I want to, I answer. My voice surprises me with how sure it sounds. We make rules, the kind families make when they are hurt but still a team. Rule 1, we do not call Dr. Collins. All contact goes through the lawyer. Rule 2, we tell the truth to people who need to know, and we keep our privacy with those who do not. Rule 3, we remember who we are. Richard is Ethan's father in all the ways that count. Biology is a fact. It is not a story by itself. Ethan nods hard at that. His jaw works like he is chewing grief. Dad taught me to change a tire in the rain, he says. A report doesn't erase that. I let myself smile for the first time today. He also taught you to line up forks like a soldier, I say. I saw you do it last night. We all breathe out at the same time. The room loosens a little. Vanessa makes coffee. She adds a plate of toast, because people talk better when their hands have something to do. We go through dates. We compare memories. I remember a day at the clinic when the doctor said, we may need to assist the sample. He used soft words that made hard things sound gentle. He asked me to sign. I signed. I trusted. Now I write in my new notebook, request full records from clinic. I add boxes for consent forms, procedure notes, inventory logs. I will not be a quiet patient again. Ethan looks guilty. I hate that I kept this from you even one day, he says. You kept it long enough to make sure, I say. That is not betrayal. That is care. I look at Vanessa. Thank you for taking him through it step by step. She squeezes my shoulder. Family first, she says simply. We talk about the press. A reporter has already messaged one of the half-siblings after a forum post. If anyone calls us, we say no comment and share the lawyer's email, Vanessa says. We are not a show. Agreed, I say. This is repair, not theater. We plan the evening call with Rosa and Victor. We will keep our cameras on, stay kind, and listen more than we speak. We will not ask them to be proof. They are people, not exhibits. I write that in my notebook too, just to remind myself who I want to be. When the coffee is gone, I stand. Show me the pantry, I say. Vanessa looks unsure. Are you sure? Yes. We are not afraid of a shelf. We walk together. The light hums as always. I reach behind the flower and pull out the envelope. It feels smaller today and less like a snake. I put it in my bag. Secrets live with me now, I say. Not hidden. Not dangerous. Just facts until they become action. Back at the table, Ethan opens a new document on his laptop. He titles it Timeline. We start at the beginning. Wedding year. Years we tried. First appointment. Procedures. The day Ethan was born. The staff we remember by face if not by name. The lullabies I sang. The first day of kindergarten. We put memories next to records, because both matter. When we finish, the timeline looks like a bridge. It carries us from confusion to choice. Near noon, Ethan asks, "Do you want to go to the cemetery today?" "Soon," I say. "First, I want to eat lunch with my son." We make simple sandwiches. We eat at the counter like we did when he was 10 and in a hurry to play. It calms something old and scared inside me. After lunch, Vanessa calls the lawyer to confirm tomorrow's meeting. I draft a short letter to the state medical board. It is calm and direct. It says what happened and what I request. No fire, just light. Before I leave, Ethan opens the freezer and shows me the small cake in a white box. The words are blue and a little crooked. "We love you, Mom." He laughs once, without humor. "This looks silly now." "It looks like love," I say. "And we will eat it when we are ready." At the door he stops me. "Mom." "Yes. I'm still me." I take his face in my hands. "You are still you. Your father is still your father. And I am still the mother who will fight for you." He nods, and I see the boy he was and the man he is in the same eyes. Vanessa joins us. We stand in a small, quiet hug that says more than speeches. Then I pick up my bag with the envelope inside. On the drive home, the world looks ordinary again. Lawns, mailboxes, a dog chasing nothing. The ordinary is a gift. When I park, I sit for a moment and listen to my own breath. I am not broken. I am awake. Tonight we will meet Rosa and Victor on a screen. Tomorrow we will meet a lawyer in an office with bright lights and a box of tissues. After that, we will meet the truth in a courtroom if it comes to that. Step by step. No drama we do not need. No fear we cannot name. I take out my notebook and check another box. Tell the truth. Then I add a new line I did not expect to write so soon. Hope. Evening comes, and I sit between Ethan and Vanessa at their kitchen table with the laptop open. We join the video call a few minutes early. I can see my face in the small square. I look calm enough to be useful. That is all I want tonight, to be useful. Rosa joins first. She sits in a small apartment with a plant behind her. She waves and smiles a careful smile. "Hi, I'm Rosa," she says. "I teach 3rd grade." Her eyes flick to me. "You must be Ethan's mom." "I'm Laura," I say. "Thank you for talking to us." Victor joins next from an ambulance bay on his break. He is in an EMT uniform, hair pushed back, kind eyes tired from work. "Victor," he says. "I've got 10 minutes, then I'm back on a call. I wanted to meet you both." We talk simply. No drama. Rosa explains how she took a DNA test to learn about her grandparents, then matched with half-siblings out of nowhere. "At first I thought the site was wrong," she says. "Then I counted birthdays. All of us were born around the same 5-year stretch. All our moms went to the same clinic." Victor holds up his phone to show a list. He scrolls. Names, ages, cities. "It keeps growing," he says. 15, last I checked. 2 more message today. 15. The number hits me like a gust of cold air. 15 children with the same hidden thread running through their blood. I feel my hands curl into each other on the table. I unclasp them and put them flat again. I keep breathing. Rosa lowers her voice. "My mom remembers a day when the nurse said the donor sample was delayed. The doctor smiled and said, 'I can handle it.' She thought that meant he had a solution. She didn't know what kind." Victor nods. "My mom remembers sedation when she didn't expect it. When she woke up, it was done. The records say one thing. Her memory says another." Ethan listens with his jaw set. "I'm sorry," he tells them. "I hate that we share this because of him. But I'm glad we're not alone." "We're a team now," Rosa says. "We share documents. We don't talk to press. And we go slow, even when we're angry." She shares a folder link. Consent forms with clipped signatures. Procedure notes with times and initials. A supply log with a code that repeats across multiple patient files. I recognize the code. It matches one line in my own record copy we requested this morning. The same initials appear over and over in the witness box. The pattern is simple and ugly. "Does Dr. Collins know about the case?" I ask. Victor shifts in his chair. His lawyer knows. They send a bland email. "Our client denies wrongdoing." "That's it." Rosa adds, "He's still giving talks about medical ethics." She holds up a flyer on her desk. I can read the headline even through the screen. "First, do no harm." Something hot rises in my throat. I swallow it back down. The call ends because Victor has to go save someone having a bad day. We promise to share anything we find. We promise to protect each other from noise. When I close the laptop, the kitchen is very quiet. We spend the next day inside the slow work of proof. Vanessa speaks to our lawyer and confirms tomorrow's meeting time. Ethan prints my medical records and lays them beside a calendar from that winter long ago. We check dates against weather reports I found online. Snow days, clinic closures, the day the elevator broke, and the nurse laughed. Little facts pin the bigger truth to the board. By noon, the clinic sends a thin packet of all available records. It is missing pieces I know should be there: a donor number, an inventory log, a detailed consent about assisted sample. I can see the shadows of removed lines on the photocopy. I do not get loud. I write a firm letter requesting the rest. I CC the lawyer. I CC the medical board. I CC myself. A reporter calls Ethan's phone. He doesn't answer. The same number tries me. I let it go to voicemail. The message says, "We want to tell your story." No, I think. We want to live our story. We are not here for anyone's headline. In the afternoon, I call the state medical board office to confirm they received my complaint. A woman with a clear voice says, "We did, Mrs. Bennett. We take this seriously." I can hear typing. "We will gather past actions and coordinate with law enforcement where needed." Her words are dry and careful, but I feel a small thread of safety in them. That evening we sit with takeout containers and open the laptop again to meet two more half-siblings. One is in law school. One is a new father holding a sleepy baby. "I just want to know what to say when she asks me where she came from," he says, looking down at his daughter. The room tilts again, but I stay with him. "You will say she came from love," I tell him, "and from people who fought to make the truth clean." Later, when the house is quiet, I tell Ethan and Vanessa I want to visit Richard's grave in the morning. Ethan says I'll drive. I say, "No, I need to go alone first, and then we can go together." I sleep lightly and wake before the sun. The air is cool and honest. I bring rosemary from our garden, the same kind I smelled in their kitchen the night everything changed. At the cemetery, I brush leaves off the stone with my sleeve. I talk the way people talk to the dead when no one is watching. "I know you loved us," I say. "I know you trusted the doctor because I did. I'm not here to ask if you are still Ethan's father. You are. I'm here to ask for your steadiness, the way you always fix the broken drawer and the leaking hose and my fear." A bird shouts from a tree and then is quiet. I think of Ethan's careful hands lining up forks, the same way Richard did. I think of the toolbox in our attic, old, scarred, heavy, with a strip of tape across the lid that says in Richard's tidy block letters, "Do not toss." He put that tape there years ago, after he got sick, when he labeled boxes so I would not throw away the wrong things. The image lands in my mind with weight. The toolbox. The tape. The way Richard saved receipts and tiny screws and anything he thought might matter later. I suddenly know I have to look inside it now. Not tomorrow. Now. I drive home in a straight line. I pull down the attic ladder and climb carefully, feeling the steps with my feet like a child in the dark. Dust floats in the beam of my phone's flashlight. The toolbox waits where it always waits, back left under the quilt trunk like a patient dog. I slide it forward and almost laugh because it is so heavy, as if it has been eating secrets for years. I kneel and set it on the floorboards. The metal is cool. My hands remember the way the latches work. They are tight the way Richard liked things. I carry the box downstairs and set it on the dining table. The house is quiet enough to hear the small sounds of the street outside. I rest my palms on the lid and close my eyes for a breath. I think of the oven light in Ethan's kitchen. I think of the words for the real father. I think of the way love and truth sometimes sit side by side like two tools in one tray, waiting for the right hands to pick them up. I flip the first latch. It clicks sharp and sure. I flip the second. The sound is the same, clean and final. I lift the lid. The toolbox smelled like metal and old wood. Inside the lid, Richard had taped a small envelope with my name on it in his neat block letters, Laura. Under it were folders, rubber-banded stacks of photocopies, and a little spiral notebook. I took a breath I could feel in my back and opened the envelope first. His letter was 3 pages, written in blue pen. The first lines were simple. "If you are reading this, I am gone, and there is something I could not carry with me." My eyes blurred, but I kept going. He told me about the night years ago when Ethan came home from school with a science worksheet about blood types. The teacher had shown how certain parent types cannot make certain child types. Richard had smiled and helped Ethan with the math, but later, after Ethan fell asleep, he checked our old records. "The numbers did not add up," he wrote. I told myself the worksheet was simple and life was not. But the thought did not leave. He did not accuse me. He never even used the word affair. He wrote that he remembered the clinic, the day of sedation I had told him about, the soft words the doctor used. He wrote that he had requested our records once, quietly, and kept copies. I chose love first, he wrote. I chose to be Ethan's father every day. If one day you learn more, use what is in this box to protect our son and to tell the truth. Don't let anger steal what we built. I pressed the paper to my chest. For a minute I let myself cry in a plain, quiet way, like rain on a porch. Then I wiped my face and opened the folders. There were photocopies of clinic logs with date stamps from long ago. On several pages, the same coded initials appeared next to sample assist and next to patient numbers I recognized from my chart. There were consent forms with tiny differences between what I remembered signing and what was filed later. In his spiral notebook, Richard had written down small things he noticed at the time. A nurse's first name, a supply box arriving late, a handwritten note on a refrigerator door in the staff area. He had also written a line that made me sit up straighter. Call with Collins's office, said donor file not retrievable, though consent says files kept 30 years. I set the papers in order and called Ethan. Come over, I said. There is something your dad left for us. When he and Vanessa arrived, we sat at my table. I read them parts of the letter. Ethan closed his eyes. Vanessa put a hand on his back. We went through the copies together. Ethan matched the codes to the codes from our own records and to the codes Rosa had shared. The pattern was simple and ugly, just like the others. Richard had seen it years before we had the language for it. Dad knew, Ethan whispered. He knew something was wrong, and he still chose me. He chose us, I said. And now he is helping us finish what he could not. We took photos of every page. We scanned everything and saved it to 3 drives. We carried the box to the lawyer the next morning. The office was bright and careful, with tissues in reach that no one made a big deal about. Our lawyer, a woman with gray hair and sharp eyes, looked through the copies with a pen in her hand and a line between her brows that eased as she saw each piece. This is strong, she said. This shows knowledge in the clinic, a pattern across patients, and changes to consents. It does not depend only on modern DNA. It shows paper truth too. We will add it to the complaint and the civil suit. We will send the board a supplemental packet today. For weeks, the work was slow and steady. The board requested more records from the clinic and from Dr. Collins's old storage. Half-siblings kept joining the thread. We met some of them on calls. We did not meet others, and that was fine. Pain has different clocks. We kept our rules. No press, no scenes, only facts. One afternoon, the lawyer called with a voice that sounded like a door opening. The board has issued an emergency suspension, she said. They are moving to revoke his license. They have referred the case to the district attorney. The clinic is cooperating now. They found a secondary log with initials that match your copies. We will not know how fast the criminal side moves, but the civil case can proceed. I stood in my kitchen and looked at the lemon pie plate drying on the rack. I thought about the oven light and the envelope behind the flour, and how a secret can look important when it is hidden and smaller when it sits in the open. I let out a breath I felt in my shoulders. The civil case did not fix the past, but it did something useful. There was a settlement that would help the families with counseling and costs. We asked for one thing that mattered to our hearts: to name a small scholarship after Richard for students studying medical ethics. The other families liked the idea. The clinic agreed to fund it for 10 years. It would help one student each year learn how to do the right thing when no one is looking. At the small ceremony, we stood in a bright room at a local college. A photo of Richard sat on a table next to a sprig of rosemary in a glass jar. Ethan gave a short speech. A paper says who shares my blood, he said, but a life shows who raised me. My father fixed leaky hoses and bad days with the same calm hands. He taught me that truth is not a weapon. It is a light. After, we drove to the cemetery together. We left the rosemary by the stone and told Richard what had happened. We did not stay long. Grief and peace can sit together for only so many minutes before they need a walk. That evening, we went back to Ethan and Vanessa's house. Vanessa warmed soup. Ethan took a small white box from the freezer. He set it on the counter and opened it. Inside was the cake he had bought for the day he was going to tell me the worst thing. The blue words were a little crooked but still clear. We love you, Mom. We ate it at the table with spoons, laughing once when the frosting stuck to Vanessa's lip. It tasted like sugar and something cleaner than sugar, like air after rain. When we were finished, I stood up and walked to the pantry. I turned on the little light. It hummed. I reached behind the flour out of habit, and then I smiled. There was nothing there but flour, salt, and the quiet breath of a house that wasn't hiding from itself. Before I left, Ethan stopped me at the door. "Mom, are you okay?" he asked. "I am not the same," I said, "but I am okay. Your father left us a map. We followed it. We told the truth. We are still a family." He pulled me into a hug that felt like both past and future. Vanessa wrapped her arms around us. For a moment we were one small, strong knot of people who had walked through a hard room and found the door. When I got home, I put Richard's letter back in its envelope and slid it into the toolbox, on top where I could reach it. I wrote a new label in my own careful letters and taped it inside the lid, "Keep." Not because I needed the pain, but because I wanted the proof that love can stand next to truth without breaking. I turned off the kitchen light. The house settled. The world outside went on with its usual noise. I went to bed tired and honest. In the dark, I thought of the oven light again, small and warm, and saw it for what it had become. A light you turn on when you need to see clearly, not a light you hide under.